If there are two things the anime community loves to do, it's either hype up a rising series to the point where it's considered overhyped all the time or absolutely shit on something. Hype and slander are two sides of the same coin, it's just how things work around here. The middle ground, however, being that form of constructive praise and criticism. Sometimes I wish a lot of people would do is take the time to talk about the highs and the lows of a series in a fair manner where it doesn't just come off as plain ignorant. Series like Black Clover pretty much got jumped on for majority of its run because of things like production inconsistency and somehow cliches being deemed as a bad thing. My Hero Academia, I don't even think I need to elaborate upon the misinterpretation of the story and of course Deku's character. One of the shonen series that took over fall of 2020 was Jujutsu Kaisen. The praise for the anime was unanimous, having all sorts of figurehead content creators like Tim the Tatman rave about the action weekly. Season 1 came swinging, being backed by Studio Mappa, and naturally, like any banger first season, came the influx of those taking to the manga. I myself was actually planning to avoid the manga because I felt just like Demon Slayer, I could definitely wait. However, the internet isn't going to be so kind when it comes to avoiding things, especially if it trends, so I ended up giving in. Upon reading through things like the Star Plasma Vessel arc and then the famous Shibuya incident, I thought JJK was overall a pretty decent enough read for me to keep up with it weekly. Fast forward till now with the Colon Games arc and well, things are the direct opposite. I think I have two problems with my investment with JJK, with one of them being myself. I always try to find the good in a series no matter the approach, and at some point I had to ask myself, how much do I really enjoy Jujutsu Kaisen? It doesn't excite me like MHA or World Trigger, and yet here I am still reading. I wanted to attempt to keep up with the series because I like being a part of the conversation and learning deeper meanings within the text of the series, but even now that doesn't appeal to me as much. The current arc in the manga, being the Culling Games, really has opened my eyes to how I feel about this series. It's not that the arc itself is bad, it's fine, especially given the post-Shibuya state of society and the situation at hand. My main problem with the arc, and quite frankly the entire series, comes down to the pacing of it. Now before I get deep into this, let me just say that how an author chooses to write their story is not a problem in itself. I would never expect Shonen Jump authors to write stories like the big three in terms of length or pacing, and rightfully so. The current momentum of manga series seems to be ending shorter, and this gives their approach to pacing some breathing room to try something new. However, it is important to ensure you validate the pacing of your manga. Chainsaw Man gets joked on for its action-packed pacing and craziness each chapter, but it works really well with Fujimoto in my opinion in comparison to Gege. My struggles with JJK's pacing can be broken down into two aspects, them being the character investment aspect of the series and the breathing room aspect of the series. JJK's character investment to me has always felt a bit lackluster. It just feels like shit is always hitting the fan so much that we cannot get some more time with these students to see more of who they are, the things that make them who they are, and just exploration in that department in general. We got a nice introduction to those things in season 1 and especially around the school versus school arc, but I still wish we could get more. The Maki clan situation has shown itself more recently, but due to Gege's health during that time, even that arc could not have been as long as intended, but of course health over fiction always. But even looking at our main cast, even now I can't really say I care too much about Yuji. As much as this might be a personal problem, I fear I'm not alone on this one. Sure, he's a student constantly on death row due to Sukuna and you feel bad for him because of that, but outside of that, what about the rest of Yuji Itadori's identity? Shibuya did a toll on his character in terms of his mental state, and coming into that cog role as a sorcerer in this grand story, correlating with Megumi's ideals about how sorcerers aren't heroes, but what about before that? Heck, I would have even appreciated seeing an arc dedicated to the Kyoto students, just showing them working together and maybe about how they feel about the Jujutsu world, but that's just me, and don't even get me started on Nanami. Nanami was my favorite character voiced by my favorite voice actor. I would have given my left arm to see more of him and more interactions with Yuji before Shibuya hit, but Gege only knows how to deliver pain. The issue of character investment also goes hand in hand with the idea of lack of breathing room. Downtime to me is very important between each conflict. Reflection, introspection, analysis of the results, new developments can all happen during this downtime. From post Shibuya till now, I feel like there's been too many fights for its own good. Now don't get me wrong, I'm well aware we have rampaging curses everywhere and even killer sorcerers on the loose, but when you have so many fights back to back weekly, it can start to feel a bit suffocating, especially when the fights are one of the strong points of the series. Of course, this may be hypocritical considering MHA's final arc is in a similar position, but MHA as a series has had tons of more breathing room upon each major fight. Even with World Trigger, they have some form of breather and development per rank war battle. Gege is an author that's pretty much rolling with the punches. He keeps the momentum going, and I respect that approach because a lot of people do enjoy the style of the series. I just feel as recently I'm discovering that it overall is not my favorite flavor of storytelling. Culling Games has had a lot of good technical fights, but after the Yuji fight especially, I have not been able to connect with a lot of the rest. They are cool and thorough at that, but if I cannot feel like I'm enjoying myself, then I might as well save myself time altogether. However, even with all this criticism, I am still excited when it comes to the major developments of the story. I still want to see what Sukuna is really after, especially when looking at Megumi and what Kunjaku's vision for the dawn dawn of a new golden age of sorcery looks like. You also cannot forget the main big picture issue of Gojo being trapped in the box, with Nobara also being MIA, and what the result of Yuji being the vessel of Sukuna will be. For now though, I'll be putting the manga down for a little while and letting some chapters stack. Hopefully by the time I decide to pick it back up, my opinion can improve and maybe even completely change. If not, I'll just simply resort to becoming an anime only once again by letting the anime catch up to where I left the manga and continue it yearly. That's pretty much it for me though. As always, thank you for watching, and if you are reading Jujutsu Kaisen, let me know how you are feeling in the comment section down below about the current state of the story. Stay safe out there, and I will catch you guys in the next video.